Welcome in. It's the Saturday show here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles, no Christian Esparza with us momentarily. We'll hope that he'll be able to join us later today. But for now, it is me and our guy Alma being behind the glass, pushing the buttons and making the magic happen. Alma, how's it going, man?
It's going good, you know. It's another early morning. The sun has risen, and big old smile on my face. So I can't complain. How you doing?
Bright and beautiful Saturday. I'm doing great, man. Any particular highlight of the week you want to share?
Well, biggest highlight for me was my birthday was on Wednesday,
Happy
so we got
birthday.
to have a nice little celebration. Got
There
to
you go.
have some dinner with some friends. So we were having a pretty good day, and I'm just ready to see what happens for the rest of the week. And you got Archie's first birthday today, so
Happy birthday, Archie.
for everybody going out to Smith's Ballpark and enjoying what's going on over there, I'm excited to see some of those photos and videos that will come out while we're on our show today.
There you go, man. Happy late birthday. Happy birthday, Archie. And I don't necessarily have a highlight of the week. I didn't get much done this week, I'm gonna be honest. I had a mountain of bad luck just mount my way, and it started Wednesday where my car broke down, and so my car's in the shop right now. I'm still waiting for that to get figured out, and then things just kept stacking on. But we're good, man. It's another beautiful Saturday. Happy to be here breaking down what happened this week, and we'll get it going, man.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here celebrating on Wednesday, and you're like, "Oh no, my car!" Like it's almost like we switched. So
Yes.
please don't put that bad juju on me.
I'll try not to. I'll do my very, very best not to. All right, let's dive in and recap everything that happened this week. Obviously, one of the biggest, if not the biggest storyline happening in the fall camps for both BYU and Utah is this BYU quarterback battle. Right now, it's a three-way race between Trayson Bourget, McKay Hillstead, and Bear Bachmeyer. Those three guys are the guys that have that are waiting to see which of those quarterbacks will put BYU in the best position to win football games this season. After, of course, the departure of Jake Retzlaff earlier this week. Former BYU quarterback Robbie Bosco joined DJ and PK. He played at BYU from 1981 to 1985. He jumped on with DJ and PK and broke down the quarterback battle, what's going on over at BYU, and gave his thoughts and his takes on it. So here's former BYU quarterback Robbie Bosco with DJ and PK earlier this week talking about BYU's fall camp.
And I think it's going to be the guy that can make the plays, that can move the chains, and that's going to determine a lot on who plays. And sometimes you, as a coach, you make that right decision, and sometimes you don't, and then you just have to kind of give guys another chance, because a game situation is way different than on practice. And so it's going to be interesting. I feel very confident in all three of these guys. I think they're all very good players, and hopefully they can just hang in there, because they're all going to get a chance to play. I don't know the last quarterback. I mean, there's not very many quarterbacks that can go through a whole season without getting dinged or hurt, and someone's going to have to step up and make some big plays. And so hopefully they can all feel good about being at BYU and stick around for a while.
Bear Bachmeyer, I have been told how much talent he has and how impressive he is. And I'm a little curious that he left Stanford after spring football. I mean, I get they have an interim coach, which means right away you're going to have two coaches in 2 years. So that's just not a good situation. But on the other hand, the interim coach is Frank Reich, who quarterbacked and coached in the NFL. So maybe you could learn a thing or two for him. But for whatever reason, he makes a decision. He comes here. But now he's trying to win the job at BYU. But he didn't have spring ball, so he's got to get to know all these teammates, build relationship, get your brain in sync with these receivers. When a play breaks down, everybody's got to know what everybody's got to do. The timing's got to be great. And he's got to get his arms all the way around the offense and the protection in like 3 weeks. Like, you could be the best quarterback. 3 weeks isn't very long, Robbie. Is that realistic?
Yeah, I mean, there are certain guys that can do it, though. And I don't know where Bear sits with that. I'm not with him all the time and things like that, but it takes a special guy. And I've watched him practice, and they were doing some 7-on-7, with pass rushers and everything like that. Obviously, no one's going super hard, but they're going hard enough. And that guy, he knows what's going on. I think he's got a pretty good, got a super good mind. I think he graduated high school early, and so he's got it up top. And physically, he's a big, solid kid. I think if I had a pair of legs like him, I might still be playing. I mean, this guy looks like a beast, and so I think that part. But yeah, you're right though. It's very difficult to have a total grasp on everything. And when does the game slow down? That's when you become a really good player, is when the game slows down. And the game only slows down with experience and playing out there and getting a feel and getting an understanding of what defenses are doing. And all three of these guys, they've got to put a ton of work in the film room and watch film on every team that we're going to be playing coming up to it and have an understanding. And even with that, a lot of it comes down to physical toughness and mental ability to make plays. Because very rarely do you drop back in a pocket and you sit there and it's like, oh, this is so easy back here. I've got no pressure at all. And you can find an open receiver. But things break down all the time, and it's the ones that can make plays when things are broken down more so than the other guy.
Yeah, I think that's where you had a guy like Detmer really succeed, and maybe one or two others. I don't want to mention their names, but I think we know who they might be, that when it did break down, which is often, if not always, that they couldn't make plays, and they had all the star rankings, and it wasn't able to translate. The way I'm looking at it here is that BYU has flipped the schedule completely. You know, for years, for a decade plus, the stronger part of the schedule was up front-loaded, and then the easier part was in the back. And so when they had Zach Wilson, I think they targeted an opportunity for him to get out on the field because they knew when the schedule was softer. Well, here it's reverse, obviously. You know, you could make a strong argument that the easier games are in the beginning. And then you get in that Big 12, and I know the Cougs have only been in it in 2 years, but it's a pretty good conference, and just about any team is capable of beating anybody else. So you got to really be ready. How much do you think that factors into the decision, particularly with a freshman, you know, if they think that, okay, if he had just 2 or 3 games, he might be able to really take on the conference season, but if we wait, it's harder to insert him. I can't find a week where you could pick him to play in any given opponent in the Big 12. How do you think that's going to play out in terms of them making the decision that the schedule now is reverse of where it had been for many years as an independent?
Yeah, I think that's always the tough part of coaching and anticipating. I think it's very difficult to think like that. Like, okay, we can give this guy's got the biggest up, and I'm not even going to put who I think has the biggest upside or what the ranking is of these 3 quarterbacks. I'm just looking at, let's say right now, the guy that's playing the 3rd best, but he might have the biggest upside. Well, if you think about, if he has a couple of games under his belt, you know, he might just push forward and be the guy. I think it's very difficult to think like that because college football is so different than any other sport. You don't have any preseason games. You don't have any playing games that don't matter or don't count.
Right.
Game 1 counts. And you lose game 1, no matter who you're playing, you're on an uphill battle now for maybe not for the conference, because you can still win the conference, but you're on an uphill battle for rankings. And that's what it's all about, rankings now, right?
Yeah.
And we've learned very quickly that it's going to be very tough for an 8-3 BYU team to be ranked way up there high. And so you've got to win now, and you got to put your best player in there right now. And they're going to pick the guy who they think can win. And it doesn't matter if it's Bear or Trayson or McKay. They got to figure this out, and they're with them. That's what a a lot of fans don't understand is the coaches are with these guys every single day in meetings, in practices, treatment, whatever they may be. They know these kids inside and out, and us fans, we see them on Saturday afternoons. Oh, the other guy has to be better than that. Did you see that throw? I mean, that's just kind of what sports is, though, right? Our opinions are what's happening right now, and not really who deserves to be there. And so, none of these guys really have a ton of experience. Each Trayson and McKay have played for sure on the other teams, but not at BYU. And like what we talked about before, you're learning a new system with new players, and what's happening right now in practice is this is kind of their show, and they're trying to showcase their talents on who can be, and the coaches. This is never an easy decision, and so it's not only just the guy that can make plays throwing it, who can scramble, who can, like when we had Jalen Hall as our QB. That dude, he was hard to sack. There was pressure on him a lot, and he was able to evade that getting sacked because he was able to maneuver in the pocket and escape and then make plays running with the ball. And so that's what keeps the chains moving. It's not only sitting in the pocket making all these passes. Things break down, so you got to be able to make plays different ways all the time. So I think that's what it's going to come down when they make that decision.
On the administrative side of this, how much pressure is there to bring in more money, raise more money? Because with NIL, the expenses year after year, they just keep adding up. I mean, I just read about Texas Tech. They'd landed some senior, I think he was an offensive lineman, now some junior linebacker, and they're throwing around $20 million in NIL money. Or is that pretty much lined up? The boosters are committed, they get it, and with the tech industry, there's some deep pockets, and things are kind of set, and you're focused on other things. How is that working?
It's hard. I mean, think about it. We're raising more money than we ever have, and then they add on top of that $20.5 million more that we have to generate. And our donors at BYU are amazing, and they want to help as much as they can help. But still, it's very difficult, to go out there, and so you just have to keep finding new blood and new people that are willing to help, and you just keep banging the doors and trying to get people to help out and things like that. It's crazy what college athletics has turned into. This went from, my picture was on that Game Boy 20 years ago, so why aren't the athletes getting money from that? To, we need to start paying these athletes millions of dollars now. So it's just crazy what it's turned into. So there's got to be the biggest thing that kind of bugs me is the unlimited transfer portal. That's where that part's got to stop, because you may be getting paid $500,000 and go, thanks for that check. Oh man, that school 3 states away wants to pay me 1.5 now, so I'm going to leave. And there's no more loyalty. And I think Kalani has done a fabulous job of spreading out the wealth the best that he can, and trying to make everybody feel good and feel happy about it. But it's crazy. And we just got to keep going. We got to be in the game, right? I mean, if you're not in the game, if you ignore it, then you're going to get swallowed. So you just got to try to do the best you can and do it. And I have a feeling we're doing pretty good. I mean, AJ is a pretty good basketball player, and he came to BYU, so that's a pretty awesome start.
Yeah, you've seen this growth that when you first entered administration, 20 years ago now, after coaching for more than a decade. So you got all this experience in different ways. any level of surprise that BYU has been so desirous and willing and wanting to play the game, as you say, because they had this rep of trying to do things a little more, some would say cheap, maybe cost effective, depending on how politically correct you want to be. But now it looks like, they are willing to do essentially whatever it takes. They keep saying they're not the highest bidder. Fine. Well, I don't want to argue that, but they clearly are willing to spend the money. Is that a level of surprise for you from where you've been?
I think everything you just mentioned right there, I think there's a little bit of everything in that. Yes, we are willing. Yes, we know what it can do for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We know what it can do for our athletes and our fan base who have a great passion, as do other sport programs. But I still think that we don't want to just, like some of that NIL stuff and things like that, that comes from outside, and really as administrators, fundraisers, we're not really involved with that. So, like when I was playing, I asked DJ for $100,000, he wouldn't give it to me. He was a cheap dude.
Yeah, I hear you. Right, and he had it too,
do.
and he had excess.
I know what he gets paid
right.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I told you.
So maybe I should have asked both of you guys for a little bit of money.
50 each, but maybe you get it. Yeah.
Oh, I guess that hamburger maybe back then was probably sufficient. But it's tough. I don't think we are, I don't think we do things crazily around here. I think, obviously our athletic teams would like to do more and more and more, but, obviously we have to remain inside of a budget and be careful that way. But the NIL stuff is kind of really out of our hands, and people from the outside, we don't even know who gets paid what and how much, and things happen, and they can keep that as quiet as they want to.
Right.
Now, if someone is doing a commercial for somebody, then you have, they must be paying them something or something like that. But so outside that is not really part of what we do as fundraisers here.
I'm intrigued, and I thought this would happen, but I didn't think enough. I thought that there are people at various schools, BYU included, but all around the country, who have a real passion for the Olympic sports, right? Something beyond football and men's basketball. And as an administrator, you have to feed those beasts. I mean, everything hangs on football, right? That's probably at least 80, maybe 90% of the deal. Basketball a little bit, and then everything else kind of has its niche. But nonetheless, I think there are people with a passion for that. And somebody is going to try to buy their way to the top in whatever sport, volleyball, soccer, baseball, softball. And sure enough, Texas Tech pays a pitcher $1 million, and they are in the college softball World Series, and they are in the championship, the last two teams. And I'm wondering if you see that kind of passion from boosters when you're out raising money. Are there people, because BYU has a good history in women's soccer and in women's volleyball, and baseball not recently, certainly golf, but baseball if you go back a little bit. So I'm wondering if these sports, or maybe one I haven't even mentioned, if you talk to people who are like, I really want to help this sport.
There are people that don't probably care about football or even basketball, but they have a passion for other sports. I don't personally know of anything that, like what Texas Tech has done, because they gave that pitcher another $1 million to stay for her senior year.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to our softball coach, and he said, they just signed the second best pitcher in the country. So they're going to have both of them, and I don't know how much they gave her, but I think it was a pretty good penny as well. And so you'll probably see them back. And I think I just like I said before, I don't know, but I don't think there's anyone's going that passion. But I think there's other players in other sports at BYU that are probably doing pretty good. And I don't even know what pretty good is. I mean, when you think about $1 million to give, it's just a lot of money and I don't know you're not really getting any return other than you want to see them win, and you just bought the best player for them to win. And that's kind of how that NIL thing goes, I think. So
it's crazy in that way. You know, I look at it like the Eccles family. They've done a lot for Utah's athletics, right? And they put their name on the facility, whatever facility it is, the tennis center, the football facility, and then it stays there, you know, for 25 years as a functional building for the particular sport. In this situation here, how do you keep going back year after year after year to say to these people, it's not like you build something and then it sits there for basically the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? It has to be something that is annual, if not even more than once a year. I'm just wondering, how do you guys do that as fundraisers to go and ask continuously you need to donate, not just a one-shot deal?
No, it's that, because that is one of the hardest things that we're faced with, because we have a lot of amazing donors that are very generous and are very supportive, and they give, but it's very difficult to keep going back to the same people. And a lot of it's got to be relationship building, because some of the people, if you don't have a great relationship with them, it's, to them, I'm sure it feels like, you know, every time you call me, it's that you want more.
Right.
And so that gets old. And
it's like your adult
totally
kids.
get that. And our team gets, our fundraising team gets that as well. So you try to build relationships, but it's hard to build relationships when you have, you know, whatever level and amount of players. There's a lot more people that are giving than we have people working here. So it's not just a one-on-one thing. It's one on 150. And you can't build amazing relationships with that many people. It's just very difficult to do. So you just got to figure out and be creative of different ways to do it. And like I said before, you have to go get new blood. And that's the hardest thing to do. It's easy to grab the low-hanging fruit, but to get to that apple at the top of that tree, it's not an easy task to do, but you have to go get those guys, and you need help, right? I think you need help. I think when we look at our good donors and our good friends, you talk to them about, hey, who do you know that can help us, that's passionate about BYU? And, you know, you just got to build off that and just keep knocking on doors.
Well, Rob, I will give you a little hint on an insight. Is DJ's coming up on contract renegotiations?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's writing a check out right now. I love it.
Well, I have a serious question on all this. I know when you stopped coaching and you went and started doing the fundraising deal, people are like, oh, yeah, Robbie gets to go golf now. But now that you're raising, because you're building relationships, right? And you're going to ask these people for money. So you have to golf. You know, your arm is twisted, Robbie. Now that you have to do, you know, you get called in, it's like, okay, well, now the school can give $20 million. You guys have to go raise $20 million. I'm wondering, you saying goodbye to the munis? Are you just country clubs up in Summit County now? Private courses?
You know, it's interesting. It's a good comment because you're exactly right. I mean, people are like, oh, he's golfing, this and that. Yep. But if you think about talking to a CEO, and if that CEO loves the golf, say, well, you're not going to go to his business and be able to talk for 4 hours.
Right.
You might get 10 minutes, and then the first thing, before you even say hello or shake his hand, you have to start talking about giving. Well, you go on a golf course. Now, it can be very casual. It can be very, you can squeeze in that little thing within 4 hours pretty easily. And people love to golf. And so it's a great tool for all of us that golf and are able to do that with donors and things like that. So that's the one thing we do. We like to bring people to practice. We kind of try to do things that are fun for them. We have a big scholarship dinner coming up, where people pay to sponsor a student athlete. And so that's a great one-on-one time where the student athlete and the donor get together, sit at the same table, and just get to talk and just get to see each other, which doesn't happen all the time. And you get to see them other than in their football uniform or basketball uniform. And so it's a very casual thing, but that's a great thing that we do. So you just got to try to do as many different things as you can do and stir the pot, because not everybody likes to golf. But coming to these dinners and then listening to our student athletes and listen to their stories and who they are, where they came from, they're amazing. We have amazing student athletes in our programs in all the sports, and that's a big part of what we like to do too.
There you go. Again, that was former BYU quarterback Robbie Bosco with DJ and PK earlier this week, talking about the BYU quarterback battle, the state of college athletics, where things stand right now as far as recruiting, NIL, giving some of his takes and his thoughts. A lot of interesting nuggets about the BYU quarterback battle. Had a lot of praise about Bear Bachmeier and his ability to come in and kind of take over and kind of show that he has the ability to compete even as a true freshman, even through going through spring practice and spring ball with Stanford, transferring in after that spring portal, and then coming in and making a name for himself at BYU. It'll be interesting again to see what happens with this BYU quarterback battle. The biggest storyline of fall camp for both BYU here in the state of Utah for both BYU and Utah is who's going to emerge from that BYU quarterback battle. And there is a scrimmage today. It's happening today over at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, a close scrimmage. It'll be again fun to see what comes out of it, and we'll see if there's any updates on the quarterback. Obviously, we know they're not going to name a starter, but it'll be interesting to see if there's anybody who emerges and separates himself in today's scrimmage.
Yeah, from the people that I've talked to, apparently the conversation is pretty close, and I'm really excited to see what sort of results we'll see from this scrimmage, and especially seeing that chemistry that Bear has developed with these other athletes in that short time that he's been with BYU. But it's going to be a lot of fun to hear what comes out of that scrimmage.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to keep it with the motif of fall practice and of fall camps. We'll hear from head coach Kalani Sitake on the BYU side, and we'll hear from head coach Kyle Whittingham on the Utah side. That's all coming up next here on the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back into the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles here with you. No Christian Esparza today, but we got Alma Bean behind the glass who will be helping us out today. And Bean, there's some preseason action about to kick off. You have the Giants and the Bills kicking off at 11 a.m. Will we see an appearance from Jackson Dart?
I really hope so, just because, it would be really nice to see such a highly touted prospect like Jackson Dart actually take the field, see him in full swing, especially with there being Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson up above him on that depth chart. But, for Giants fans, I'm sure that they would also like to see some youth actually excel. But going up against a guy like Josh Allen, I don't anticipate him to play. But even if he does, getting the two of them on the field, it would just be really nice. And just overall football, just having that back. It's so nice.
Back. That is the best part, man, is I get to go home now and I get to go watch football. I know it's preseason, and I know a lot of people it seems it's like a 50-50. Some people I talk to, they'll watch preseason football and they enjoy preseason football because it's football. But then other people that I talk to, they're like, I don't care. I'm not going to watch. So it's like it's so far I've gotten like a 50-50 mix of I'll watch it and I don't care. I'm not going to watch.
And I feel like when I'm watching football now, just ever since I've moved to Utah, I'm more like, here's so-and-so from whatever university or from this high school. So I'm almost getting more excited to see that these guys are finally reaching their goals and their dreams. So another reason why I'm excited for Jackson Dart, a guy from Kaysville finally making his way to the NFL and, putting that city on the mark.
100%. It's always awesome to see the local guys. It's always awesome to see locals, whether it's high school, whether it's college, make it into the next level and be successful in the NFL. That's always fun to watch here as a Utahn. We'll get more into we'll dive into some more NFL talk later on in the 5 minutes of segment. But first, I want to keep it with college football, keep it rolling with fall camp for BYU and Utah. We just heard from former BYU quarterback Robbie Bosco, who he met with DJ and PK earlier this week and talked about the quarterback battle. Now I want to let's keep it down in Provo. We'll hear from Kalani Sitake first, and we'll hear him meeting with members of the media after fall camp and him giving an update on how things are going after week 2 or heading into week 2 of fall camp.
Today really good. We had some live work with the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, and situational work. So a lot of good things. First time in full pads, so it was good to get some tackling in, get some tackling drills, all that stuff. So we're pleased with the way the team's working. Obviously, we had some mistakes. Just make sure those mistakes don't show up tomorrow and show up in the next practice. That's going to be the goal. And I don't expect us to not make any mistakes in practice, but I expect us to fix them and make sure that they're not occurring every time. So, but I think that's a given when you have what our defense is doing. We had a couple false starts and had the ball on the ground and a bad snap. But other than that, I think those are very fixable items. Got to go see how we did. Everybody doing their 111th. So, what questions do you guys have for me?
Is there a quarterback that's starting to separate themselves at all?
No, they're all playing at a high level, all of them, and so that's a good sign. Makes it more difficult. We asked them to make it difficult for us, and so they're doing that. And we just got to keep giving them situational work like today and some live work, even though the quarterbacks aren't live. Kind of seeing them, the decision-making process for them. Are they making great decisions in really difficult times,
Kalani, with the situation with Pokai, are you concerned now with your running back depth?
No, I mean, we've had a deep group for a while now. We're still waiting on what happens with Folau, with Hinckley, and so, but I feel really confident with the rest of the guys. Obviously, the entire group, but we moved Preston Rex over there, and he's getting some good work, and Sean is doing great there, so I think we'll be in a good spot. So,
outside of Chase, there's not a ton of experience in the wide receiver group. How do you feel they're coming along?
Yeah, Parker's got a lot of experience. I mean, I think JoJo's getting more, but they're going to be fine. The talent's there. It's just putting it all together and making sure they're learning our system. It's the new guys like Reggie and Cody. But Cody's been here, so I think he's adapting really well. It's just a matter of getting him, shaking the mission legs off, and I think he's got him. He looks like the kid that ran routes in Corner Canyon, so I'm excited to see him. I thought he had a really good day today. The rest of the guys are doing great. Chase is leading the group, and I think that there's a lot of talent there. They just need to get used to our system and Fessie's expectations.
Are you hoping that this
week 2? What do you want to see as far as getting better?
Yeah, well, we got we live work now, so last week was more of we're kind of acclimating to the game with pads on, and now we're going to be other than we had shoulder pads and helmets, but now we're going to be in full gear quite a bit. And I've said this before, I don't know any other way to get better at football than practicing it and having those sparring sessions. And so today was a good amount of live work. I'm sure guys got banged up, but that's okay. We just got to keep rolling with it.
This was a scrimmage this weekend. Do you hope that will bring some separation in the quarterback battle?
Yeah, I mean, everything matters, and so factors into it. Obviously, that scrimmage, we're going to have a full ref crew there, so we're going to be at that stadium. So I imagine the guys are going to be ready for that and be excited. We're trying to simulate what a game would be like, and I think that'll be a good moment for them. But it all matters right now.
You talked about playing
the bad snap. How concerned are you with? Has that been an issue throughout camp? Some bad snaps from Bruce and Kyle?
No, I think it's hard when you have number 57 lining up right head up on you. So that makes things. I mean, we've had some really good D tackles do that to centers, and so he'll get used to it. It's just hard when you have a beast in front of you that you have to snap the ball and you have to move and keep him away from the quarterback or away from the ball carrier. So that's a hard task, but Bruce will be fine. I mean, it was one snap today that was errant. Other than that, it was a perfect day for him.
And to follow up on Tanavasa, seeing him with pads, how impressive you've been with him in camp with the pads now on.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been an explosive player. But seeing him work with Sione and with Gary and with Jay in the system, I think we're leaning on his leadership. He's done a great job getting the energy up. You guys saw the end of practice. the defense has been like that every practice that he's been involved. So I think it's the things that he does off the field that helps our team more than anything, but it helps out too that he's very disruptive.
Aaron Roderick was real complimentary of LJ, just how he's gotten his body in shape. Is he a guy that can carry the ball 25 times if needed?
Yeah, I think he can carry it more than that. I mean, I think he's in a position now where, last year he was just fighting to get back and get healthy. Now I think you guys can see it. He's a different guy, and he's kind of matured into his adult body, and it also helps that he knows the playbook. He's not struggling trying to memorize stuff, and so in fact he has ideas and thoughts on how we can block things, and that's when you got a guy that's kind of a veteran, and we can count on him. And he's becoming a leader too. And I said it before, the first 2 years LJ didn't talk much, and then now he's speaking up, and guys are listening.
How is Tanner Wall adapting to his leadership role?
Yeah, Tanner's always been a great leader for us, and I think even when he was playing special teams and had a limited role in defense, he was doing some really good things for us as a leader. So we'll always need that leadership. We have good quality leaders on the team, and I don't think you need to be a starter to be a leader, but it helps that he's had a significant amount of reps and starts under his belt, so we can lean on him. But I think the key to leadership is just if what they're saying makes sense, and if it's true, then we just abide by it. But it takes great guys to want to follow and humble guys that want to follow in order for a leader to excel. And Tanner's always been comfortable saying the right things at the right time.
Coach, has any of the freshmen or the guys coming back from the missions impressed you or stuck out so far?
They all have. I mean, I've been impressed with all the talent that we see, the guys that are here. And I think something that's a little bit, and I probably shouldn't mention it, but it's like the D-line, the new guys at the D-line have done a great job understanding what we want from them, becoming really disruptive, and I have to give a lot of credit to those coaches that are getting them ready. So there's a lot of talent there, and probably not as much experience, and probably not a lot of known players other than Keanu, but those guys, and JT, but those guys are going to get the job done, and we feel really excited about the depth at that team and at that position, and how competitive those guys are.
You talked about wanting to play football to get better at it. Have you revised how often you may go live during this camp yet?
Yeah, I mean we talk about it with our sports science group. We know how far we can push them. There's going to be a lot of times in practice that we'll go live. Even if it's not a live, there's obviously live days, but even if we're not meant to be live, I think if we put full pads on, then how do you put full pads on and never go live? So we'll find ways for those guys to spar and get better.
Coach, you talked about LJ's. Anybody else really stepping up as a vocal leader on the offensive side?
Yeah, they all are. I mean, the whole entire O-line's doing that. I mean, you got Jada and you have Carson Ryan's becoming a leader, and you have Andrew Gentry's becoming a leader, and Bruce Mitchell. I mean, all those guys. Waylon's always been a leader for us, Austin Lusa. So, I mean, Sonny Makassini, there's a lot of guys that we can count on that to be leaders for us, and I'm sure I'm leaving out a couple, but the O-line are the biggest guys. Everybody listens when they talk, and fortunate for us, we have a lot of experienced guys there.
There you go. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake meeting with members of the media earlier this week following fall camp. Let's quickly transition over to the Hill, and let's hear from University of Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham here also following their fall camp.
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. Today was the first live work we've had. We had the opportunity to be in full gear for the first day. You have to go through the acclimatization period, and so we got through that. And today was a full padded day. We had maybe 50 snaps of live work, and saw some really good things. Wayshawn Parker really had some nice physical runs. Knock Rogers as well. Devin moved the first offense up and down the field, so a lot of good stuff. And got a long ways to go, obviously, but we've got 19 more practices to get it done, and then we line up and play.
How would you assess the progress of the receiver room and that chemistry with the quarterback?
I'd say they've made big strides. Tobias Merriweather is really doing some good things. Tayshawn Lyons or not Tayshawn Lyons, but Zip is doing some good things. J.J. Buchanan, who's not really a wide receiver, but he's playing a lot of flex tight end, is really showing up and making his presence known. So that's been a big plus for us to have him step forward.
Has anyone emerged in the quarterback room just for the backup spot?
Not yet. That's really a dead heat right now. Isaac is playing really well, and so is Bird. We're going to continue that, hopefully not for a lot longer, but it's not the same urgency as if you were battling for QB1. We know who QB1 is, so that is the most important thing. But we're going to continue that QB2 battle, at least through the scrimmage on Saturday, maybe beyond, depending on what happens in that scrimmage.
Coach, getting back to the receivers, you said they were the biggest question mark in the camp. They less of a question mark now?
Less so, yeah, but still not a real true pecking order. We're starting to get some semblance of it and some idea, but we need to really see some extensive live work on Saturday to make a decision on that.
Has there been any separation in the corners room opposite Scooby?
Well, we got 3 or 4 guys that are right in the mix, and so I would say, it's down to 3 or 4 guys opposite Scooby, but it's going to be a battle for that. We may end up playing by committee and having a rotation. We'll see how it goes, but it's very competitive. We've got 3 or 4 guys that are playing at a very high level. It's not we're waiting for someone to step up and play at that level. We've got 3 or 4 guys doing a really good job. No one's just really separated themselves yet.
In spring, you said Jackson Benny was really coming on strong. Does that help you push Smith outside a little bit more?
It gives us that flexibility because Jackson is operating in the nickel spot a lot. But if we had to play tomorrow, it would be Smith inside of the nickel. But Smith is getting a ton of work on the outside during these early stages of fall camp, so in case we get to that in the fall.
You saw the tight end Jefferson as part of the 2025 class. Is there any chance he plays this year?
We're still waiting on eligibility ruling, and so if he is deemed eligible, that would depend when that happens, as far as how soon we can integrate him into what we're doing. If it takes longer rather than shorter, then maybe looking at a redshirt year. And if he doesn't get eligible at all, then he's got the option to either redshirt back home in his junior college or play his junior college season. So still a lot of what ifs on that.
How are the young defensive tackles looking so far?
Really good, really good. Those guys are stars of the future. We got 5 of them, and they're all lining up against the ones and doing a good job.
1 or 2 more. Jason Beck has talked a lot about just kind of adapting the offense to the playmakers, the skill players. I'm curious, a weekend, where do you feel like your offensive identity's at?
Well, we got a quarterback who's a true dual threat. He can rush for 1,000. He can throw for 2,500. So that's the starting point. We've got 2 or 3 running backs that have really made their way to the forefront. We've got some utility guys, Nate Johnson, Hunter Andrews, J.J. Buchanan, guys like that who are kind of able to do several things. Smith Snowden's looking good on offense. That's been a good addition for us. And Landon Barton's doing some good things on offense. So we've got a lot of options right now.
Wayshawn was obviously a highly touted transfer running back. Just what does he bring to this offense?
Physicality. He's a lone. He's got great contact balance. He is tough to get down, and he is a guy that runs behind his pads. He's got good pad level, and he's a north-south guy.
There you go again, Utah head coach Cal Whittingham earlier this week after fall camp. Both BYU and Utah's fall camps roll on. And excited to see again what happens today after the BYU scrimmage and see what comes out next week from both Utah and BYU. We'll take a quick step aside, but when we come back, technical fouls. An interesting story with Tom Brady. Coming up next here on the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If you're coming from the street with dirty shoes on your feet, that's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat, you'll get hit with a bat. 'Cause that's a technical foul. You will feel my wrath. That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
It's time for one of our favorite segments here on the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Napoles, no Christian Esparza today. Alma Bean behind the glass, making the magic happen. And Alma, I'll let you start off. You have a good one this week for technical fouls.
So this technical foul, I thought it was only fitting because there was so much celebration behind it, because it's behind the one, the only, the GOAT, Tom Brady. And for those of you who don't know, they unveiled a Tom Brady statue outside of Gillette Stadium yesterday before their preseason game against the Washington Commanders. And in his speech, he said something that I think a lot of Patriot fans would be very happy to hear. And he said, in the end, this statue isn't just for Pats fans. It will also give Jets fans something to throw their beer at as they leave the stadium, probably in the second quarter, maybe the third. So Tom Brady's still through and through, 100% a Patriots guy, even though he had his time in Tampa. I just think it's great that he was able to give those Patriots fans that nice little joke. And the moment the Jets come to town, they're going to be waiting with a camera.
Oh, absolutely.
So then somebody can throw at least one beer can at it.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to destroy that statue if they could. The Jets fans, I don't think they're going to take that comment too lightly.
Oh, no. And I was all over X seeing how people felt about it, and there was a lot of not so family-friendly responses.
Oh, I bet. I bet. The statue itself, though, is it actually a Tom Brady-looking statue? Does it actually look good, or do we have a Dwayne Wade situation?
I wouldn't say a Dwayne Wade situation, but for some reason, his head just looks too small.
It does. I'm looking at it right now, and I also have it pulled up here, and I did notice that the head looks a little bit too tiny.
Like everything, like detail-wise,
Yeah.
looks great. Like facial features, I think, is just fine. The details on his uniform looks just fine, but the head's just not the right size. It's almost like they shrunk it just a tad bit. Like it's almost like a gag for like an animated show.
If you had a statue, someone was making you a statue, would you prefer a Dwayne Wade situation, or would you prefer a small head?
I would prefer a small head, 100%. As long as it's not as bad as Cristiano Ronaldo, I think we are all good.
That one, the Cristiano Ronaldo one, has to go down as probably the worst statue ever created. If you don't know what we're talking about, Google it.
You will not be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed. It's absolutely terrible.
Unless you're a Ronaldo fan.
It looks nothing like Cristiano Ronaldo. Technical foul for me this week. We'll keep it short and simple. Marshawn Lynch. It's not necessarily a technical foul, but I just thought it was a super funny moment to come out of the NFL preseason. Marshawn Lynch gets his credential to be a photographer on the sideline of the Raiders Seattle Seahawks game, and during one of Seattle's touchdowns, he does everything in his power to protect the camera, and he looks like he's ready to he could still truck some people if he could. I think if you were to put pads on Marshawn, he could take down some guys.
But I mean, do you know how expensive those cameras are? Like I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him at all. I'm protecting the camera at all costs too. But I thought it was a hilarious moment to come out of the NFL preseason moments, seeing Marshawn on the sidelines as a photographer, and then having to do everything he can to protect the camera.
And it's always Seattle for some reason. Like, you had Marshawn Lynch behind the camera.
Right.
You had Ken Griffey Jr. behind the camera. And then Randy Johnson, I believe he was doing some photography work in Seattle. So, if you're an athlete, once you're retired, take up photography. They're taking plenty of applications.
It seems like it. It seems like that's the way to go nowadays. Get a camera, get good at it, and you'll be on the sideline somewhere.
And then, do some upper body workouts because you might have to protect that camera.
just like Marshawn, man. All right, we'll take the break here. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got a guest waiting on the other side. We're going to hear from Jarrett Ramirez. He's a writer for RedRaidersports.com, covers all things Texas Tech. We're going to dive in with Jarrett, and we're going to talk Red Raider football. We're going to see where the expectations are for Texas Tech this season, and get a preview of one of Utah's opponents this season in Big 12 Conference play. That's coming up on the other side here on the Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.